Will Hamilton be the Salvador that Ferrari hopes for? Or a disappointing story? Before responding, dime en los comments. Do you think Hamilton will win his debut with Ferrari? Before the first signals can be taken out. Las Pretemporada en Bahrain was the first real contact of Lewis Hamilton with the SF25, the monoplaza that piloted in its first time with Ferrari. These sessions are crucial because it allows you to evaluate the performance of the car alone, or even the adaptation of the driver to your new machine and the work environment of the team. In this context, Hamilton completed a total of 70 views and scored a best time of 1 minute and 31.834 seconds, ubiquitous in the 5th position of the timetable, at 0.406 seconds of the best time recorded by Andrea Kimi Antonelli in the Mercedes. These numbers, without embargo, require a more in-depth analysis. These times do not reflect the accuracy of the competitiveness level, but each team works with different fuel loads, tire strategies, and specific programs. Sin embargo, there are various factors that can be removed from this first contact volume. One of the most damaged points is due to the reliability of the SF25. During the sessions in Bahrain, the Ferrari car did not present any significant mechanical failures in Hamilton's race, which is a positive indicator for the start of the season. In Formula 1, the consistency and confidence of the car can mark the difference in the game during the camp. This aspect is fundamental. Another key aspect is the consistency of your viewing routine. Considering that there is an adaptation process, Hamilton Logro maintains its competitive records during its long periods, which indicates that it is starting to understand the behavior of the SF25 and how to express its potential. Without embargo, one of the first alert signals arises. Charles Leclerc comes very quickly in his corresponding moment, demonstrating that the wind in Monaco near Ferrari is present. The difference between the pilots is not necessarily a concern at this stage, but it is a record that Hamilton needs to take time to adjust its driving style to the particularities of the car. At the width of its road, it has been demonstrated that it is a driver that adapts quickly, but the reality is that it has been adapted for more than a decade to the Mercedes monoplazas, which has a design philosophy different from that of Ferrari. An element that also requires careful attention to the management of tire deterioration. Ferrari has worked to improve this aspect, which has one of its capabilities in previous times. The Scuderia can take special care when encountering a better aerodynamic balance that allows them to extend life using tires without compromising the road speed. In this sense, Hamilton's experience could be a key factor, because it is a pilot that historically has been very efficient in the management of the teams during the careers. The form in which Ferrari structured the tracks also under the internal dynamics of the team. Hamilton and Leclerc received the misma cantidad of time on track, which suggests that Ferrari is tratando to its pilots as their priorities iguales al menos in this initial phase of the time. Sin embargo, esto podría cambiar una vez que las carreras comiencen and la Scuderia decided to post more for one of their backs depending on the results. Most of the numbers, there is one factor that cannot be changed in time: the confidence of the driver in the car. To finalize the day, Hamilton described the experience as positive, but it was already clear that he was prematurely fully understanding his performance in this initial stage. This evaluation requires an experienced mentality, aware that the only adaptation will be carried out with the Paso de las Carreras. The data extracted from the pre-temporary samples offered a clear image of Hamilton's situation before the start of the camp. Its performance is solid, but everything is in the process of integration with Ferrari. The SF25 appears to be a competitive vehicle and capable of winning in the high part of the parrilla, but the Verdadera can be expected to be in the early stages of the race, which Hamilton must demonstrate if it can convert its potential into concrete results. Lewis Hamilton made one of the most complex transactions on his road to Mercedes after more than a decade of existence and joined a team with a completely different philosophy. Adapted to Ferrari, it is simply a change of colors or team members. Involves a transformation into the form that works, communicates and understands on the track. This adaptation does not take place from night to night and presents various problems that can be played on the contrary and on the first roads. The first and most obvious difference is the design philosophy of the plaza. Every Formula 1 equipped vehicle will release its basic aerodynamic and mechanical principles. For years, Hamilton piloted single-seaters designed under the Mercedes concept, a team that historically prioritized stability in rapid curves, traction in the stability of the curves and optimized tire management through its advanced suspension. Ferrari, for other reasons, has a separate grip, fitted with aerodynamic cargo in the eje delantero and a more aggressive balance that requires a separate drive. This means that Hamilton needs to modify its pilot style to extract the maximum performance of the SF25. One of the most complicated adjustments for an equipped pilot is the shape in which the check responds to its inputs on the steering wheel, the brake, and the accelerator. The Mercedes and Ferrari systems are not only different in hardware terms, but also in software. The differential behavior, speed distribution, and accelerator response may be radically different, which requires Hamilton to reformulate his habits which have been lost for years. Any experience allows you to adapt more quickly than a younger pilot if you have a process that requires time. Another determining factor is communication with the team. In Mercedes, Hamilton had a completely consolidated relationship with his engineers. The technical feedback is intended to be precise, and the equipment is designed exactly to meet your needs to improve vehicle performance. In Ferrari, you have to build this carbon relationship. Ferrari is a highly professional team with first-level engineers, adapting to a new dynamic of work and a new methodology that can be used for variable road conditions. In addition to differences in work culture, Ferrari is a team with a management structure and many decisions that are historically distinct from Mercedes. Although Mercedes has worked with a long-standing stability philosophy in addition to its strategies, Ferrari has known for more frequent steering changes, strategic decisions made, and, on occasion, poor coordination in critical road situations. Hamilton no longer has to adapt to the car, even though Ferrari manages the roads, makes decisions in key moments, and trains them to execute the strategies in real time. A point that cannot be ignored is the dynamics with your new team member. Charles Leclerc has been the main driver of Ferrari since 2019 and has a clear wind in the knowledge of the team, integration with the engineers, and adaptation to the philosophy of the car. Unlike George Russell in Mercedes, who joined the team with Hamilton as a number one stable player, in Ferrari the presence of Leclerc is strong and responsible for a base of aficionados who consider the driver destined to ride to Ferrari already. This means that Hamilton does not tend to adapt to the team alone, but also tends to rely on the internal pressure to compete against a pilot who is completely accepted. The adaptation time will be key. At the length of his road, Hamilton demonstrated an exceptional ability to adjust to new circumstances, but this change represented a distinct reaction to those he violated in the past. The first wheels will be fundamental to meter that quickly they can lift the optimal level of the Ferrari and if they can superar the bars that inevitably arise in the integration process. The history has demonstrated that including the largest camps we have required a period of adjustment to change the team, and in the case of Hamilton, the situation will depend on how quickly you can convert these desafios into fortalezas. The 2025 time of Formula One comes with an extremely competitive panorama on the high side of the market. Ferrari Liga with great expectations after having finalized in the second position of the Campeonato de Constructors in 2024, a result that demonstrated its capacity to desafier a Leaders Pero that has already been evident in the areas where everything needs to improve. For Lewis Hamilton, it means that when he joins the team he does not automatically guarantee a dominant position. Otherwise he will have to work with a team that is on the path to perfection to raise the level necessary to fight for the camp. In the last few years, Ferrari has made significant progress when it comes to its monoplaza, accelerating to the victory of the victorious, but without being able to concretize a lasting dominion. Its performance in 2024 is marked by an improvement in the speed at a view, where the permits consist of varying pole positions, but also due to an inconsistency in the road schedule and in strategic management. Ferrari's ability to translate its speed into classic results in one of its main capabilities, and Hamilton's experience could mark a key difference. Ferrari's biggest rival in 2025 will be McLaren, a team that has experienced a notable growth in recent years. With the technical direction of key numbers like Andrea Stella, McLaren has logged off on a single track that is quickly in classification, but also consistent on the road. In 2024, its improved aerodynamics and its capacity to manage better tires will convert to the reference in various circuits. Sagan ex-team director Günther Steiner, McLaren is the favorite for the 2025 season, based on the impulse that logs into the second half of 2024 and the aggressive descent that took place in the pre-season. Mercedes, by other means, it has a misunderstanding. During a period of absolute dominance between 2014 and 2021, the team has reached a year of altitude following the release of the technical regulations of 2022. En 2024 mostraron signos de recovery, todavía no han alcanzado el nivel de Ferrari y McLaren. With the success of Lewis Hamilton and the incorporation of Andrea Kimi Antonelli, a young talent who generated much expectation, the German team had a year of transition and was able to surprise or be relegated to a secondary role in the game by the victors. Red Bull, the team that dominated Formula One in the recent era with Max Verstappen, entered a new scenario in 2025 with the safety of its star driver. However, if you have a highly competitive team, the internal reorganization and changes in the alignment of pilots may affect your performance in comparison with previous times. This is an opportunity for Ferrari and Hamilton to provide some of the power that can be seen on the first roads of the year. In this context, the Ferrari key will maintain the release level of the SF25 for a long time and improve performance on the road, with aspects of McLaren and Red Bull being more efficient in recent years. The ability of the Italian team to evolve on the track, optimize its strategy and improve Hamilton's experience in the decision-making process at the track will determine whether the next move will lead to the real fight for the title. Competence in 2025 will be more difficult than ever. Ferrari has one of the most important lines of the team with Hamilton and Leclerc, but this is what it says if it can convert this combination into a team capable of disabling McLaren, Red Bull and Mercedes in a constant manner. In this scenario, Coda de tal cuenta, and the adaptation of Hamilton to the team will be a determining factor for the performance of Ferrari in the fight for the Campeonato. The Grand Prix of Australia will be the real prize for Lewis Hamilton with Ferrari in 2025. Albert Park, the circuit that hosted the inaugural race, represented a particular disappointment that caused only the adaptation of Hamilton to his new team, even though the competition of the SF25 faces its main rivals. One of the most important factors to consider is the naturalness of the track. Albert Park is a semi-urban circuit, which means that it combines the characteristics of a track with elements of a permanent circuit. This creates a profile of very particular requirements regarding vehicle configuration, tire management and road maintenance. Over the years, this track has favored a single seat with good aerodynamic stability and traction on the contours of the curves, with aspects that Ferrari has taken to improve on its single track from 2025. The Albert Park track is made up of high and high-media velocity curves, with a series of high acceleration zones that require a good balance between power levels. Stability and speed will be a key factor, as variations in curves require a sudden reduction in speed before you can accelerate in a progressive manner. For Hamilton, which is in the process of adapting to the SF25, these characteristics may represent an additional feedback, especially in the first drives, which must encounter the limit of the car on this specific circuit. Another fundamental element is tire management. Albert Park is a circuit with a relatively smooth surface area in comparison with other calendar tracks, but its configuration generates an irregular deterioration in the components, where the road strategy is a determining factor. In previous times, the teams encountered difficulties in maintaining a constant rhythm without suffering premature tire damage, although it was a stupid point for Ferrari in the past. Hamilton, based on his ability to manage tires efficiently, tends to ensure the balance is adequate between maintaining and preserving batteries at the largest price. The classification will be other than critical. Albert Park has demonstrated that it is a circuit where the safety position has a direct influence on the result of the road. In recent years, the adjustments have become more complicated due to the presence of various DRS zones. This means that a little delay in classification will be essential for Hamilton's aspirations on his first career with Ferrari. The key will be as fast as you can feel comfortable with the car in the views at a single view and if Ferrari has improved its performance and classification in comparison with the previous time. In addition to technical aspects, the inaugural season of the current time has a level of uncertainty higher than the rest of the calendar. First of all, you should know that the teams have tested their new tires in road conditions, which may arise unexpectedly due to mechanical reliability, the behavior of the monoplazas in traffic and the performance of the electronic systems without the requirement of real competition. In this sense, Ferrari must ensure that the SF25 is completely optimized and that it does not present unexpected problems that compromise the debut of Hamilton with the team. Another factor that cannot be ignored is the road strategy. Ferrari has been criticized in the past for strategic decisions that have cost of positions and included victories. In a circuit where the chances of racing in boxes could be decisive, the Scuderia will have to implement an impeccable strategy to maximize the performance of Hamilton and Leclerc. The communication between Hamilton and his road engineer will be a key to the decisions made in real time, especially if they present scenarios like safety cars or changes that occur in the conditions of the track. In historical terms, Albert Park has a circuit where Hamilton has recorded many results in the pasado. At the length of your road, you will have multiple victorias and positions on this route, where there will be a window at the end of the circuit and you can trust it to be empty. However, this time is different, and this is the case. The main misunderstanding is that you can quickly reach the maximum level with Ferrari in a real competition situation. The Grand Prix of Australia does not mark the start of the 2025 season, but it also serves as a first indicator of Ferrari's future capabilities in the race. Hamilton's performance is the first track on the tracks during the team's adaptation process and over the strength and weakness of the SF25 against its rivals. Most importantly, the final result will be the analysis of the process, the delay in classification, and the ability to manage the strategic and technical needs that present this first before the year. Lewis Hamilton's first career with Ferrari is one of the moments most hoped for in the 2025 season. His debut with the Scuderia represents much more than a simple team change. This is the beginning of a new chapter on the road ahead of our camp in the world, which has the mission to devolve to Ferrari at the top of Formula One. However, although the expectations are enormous, the reality is that the immediate success is not guaranteed. The analysis of the pre-temporary results suggests that Hamilton has a solid base to start his race in Ferrari with a competitive performance, but there are various failures that could result in his failure in Australia. The adaptation to the SF25 is in process and, although it has been demonstrated by a driver capable of quickly adjusting to new conditions, Ferrari is a team with a distinct working philosophy that has been experienced in its last years in Mercedes. This transaction involves understanding the dynamics of the platform in order to communicate with your new engineering team and adapt to the road strategies that the Scuderia has implemented over the last few years. The Australian Grand Prix will serve as a reference to measure the level of Ferrari in comparison with its rivals. McLaren Liga as the team with major project, although Red Bull and Mercedes have an incongruity in terms of performance in road conditions. In this scenario, the key for Hamilton will maximize the potential of the SF25 in class, and it will only be necessary to have a good position in the grille, which will be fundamental in a circuit where it is not suitable. Although the possibility of a victory at the start of the Ferrari is not completely out of the question, it is more realistic to hope that Hamilton will be in a position within the top 5. Even though it is long enough for a long time to come, it seems likely that there will be a shortfall on the day of the car, but that is not the case. The key is capable of managing tires and making precise strategic decisions together with your team. The Scuderia has been criticized for errors in the execution of strategies, which will be crucial to see if it improves in this aspect by 2025. Another point to consider is the internal dynamics with Charles Leclerc. Ferrari has dealt with some equitativa pilots in the preseason, but once you start the roads, the relationship between them will become a key factor. Leclerc has the desire to improve the team in the monoplaza, where he can achieve greater superiority on the first roads. Sin embargo, Hamilton is a pilot that conforms to a secondary paper, and its experience in high-pressure situations can help to level internal competition quickly. Regardless of the result in Australia, the most important thing for Hamilton will be to establish a solid base for the first race and demonstrate that Ferrari has the potential to compete in the camp. A positive start does not require confidence in you, but you also receive a clear message from your rivals that it is on the list to win in its first time with the Scuderia. The history has shown that including the larger pilots, they need to be adapted to the changing of the equipment. Michael Schumacher, Fernando Alonso, and Sebastian Vettel violated the adjustment periods when they joined Ferrari, and in other cases, they did not appear immediately. The great misunderstanding is whether Hamilton will be able to speed up this process and quickly convert it into a contender for the title, or whether it will be necessary to have a variety of roads to improve its level within its new team. The start of the time does not define a camp, but it can mark the tone of the camp. Para Hamilton, Australia will be an opportunity to meditate on your progress, identify areas of improvement, and start building your route with Ferrari. But all of the final result, the essential thing will be to observe the speed of the road, its ability to adapt, and its energy with the team in an environment of real competence. Only then can you have a clearer vision that you can really hope for in the future with the Scuderia.